Do you suffer from the debilitating symptoms of chronic pain, swelling, and loss of joint motion due to arthritis? Are you taking drugs like Celebrex and Vioxx or other super aspirin prescriptions? If you are, you're increasing the risk of heart attack and stroke by up to 50%. This is Dr. Tom Roselle, host of Dr. Tom Roselle Live Sundays at 12 noon. Why live with pain or the dangerous side effects of drugs when the doctors at the Roselle Center for Healing, practicing 21st century integrative medicine, can help you experience relief like never before? Simple, safe, chiropractic, acupuncture, and nutritional care can provide significant relief from arthritic pain in less than 6 weeks. More than 70% of our patients experience a return to life far beyond their expectations. Give yourself the best gift possible, freedom from arthritic pain, naturally. Call today to schedule an appointment. Call 703-698-7117 or visit online at rosellecare.com.
Dr. Tom Roselle Live, right now, on 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL.
Welcome to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. This is Dr. Tom Roselle live in studio. Love to take your phone calls as always. 888-630-9625. That's 888-630-9625. Perhaps you've had a problem. You've tried, you've applied, you've done all those things that you usually do, but come up with the same old, same old. Nothing that really works. Well, let's figure it out from a natural point of view. You know, as always, we have topics that we like to discuss, and we're going to kind of go over one today that we've talked about before, but I have two people that are going to help me discuss it. It's one that affects, unfortunately, millions and millions of people across the country, and I'm specifically speaking about women. I've said to you many times that, unfortunately, women are the most abused patient in the healthcare market simply because that you're a target for Fifth Avenue and Big Pharma marketing. Well, I couldn't have asked for a better show today to discuss this. Somebody who is extraordinarily passionate about the subject, somebody who you all know very, very well, somebody who I'm a great fan of. And without further introduction, Ricki Lake, are you there?
Yes, hi.
Hi, Ricki. Thank you for being on the program. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And we have a friend, acupuncturist out of Richmond, Keith Bell. Keith, are you on the line?
I'm here, Dr. Tom.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Listen, this is a subject, and we're talking about birth control for women. You know, women were liberated many years ago with the advent of birth control pills, but unfortunately, as we've talked about in our program and in our patient base, there's tremendous serious side effects, and this is something that both of you have gone after. And basically, I want to find out, how did this come about? Ricki, you're the one that spearheaded this. You got involved in it. It's a documentary that's coming out. It's called Sweetening the Pill.
Yes.
What happened?
We're actually just starting the project. You know, we're doing this Kickstarter this week or this month to try to raise money to make the film. But I got into, women's health issues from my own experience, stemming from my birth experiences with my two children. So it's ironic that I'm now making a film about birth control when my first film was about my birth. And I really wanted to take a hard look at the medical system when it came to birth. I was a new mom to be, and I was learning so much that I felt that so many people weren't aware of, such as midwives and natural birth and the art of birth and the opportunity that we're given when we can have the optimal experience of being fully connected and empowered during our birth experience. So the Business of Being Born was a labor of love that took 3.5 years to make. And it's become sort of the go-to film for anyone that's pregnant because it really does educate you on the options that you have when it comes to your birth. And the message was not to do what I did, which, I had a home birth, water birth with my second child. It wasn't that. It was really about just educating the consumer about the options that are out there for them and to advocate for themselves. And so with our new film, Sweetening the Pill, we were inspired. Abby Epstein, my director and partner on these projects, the book came to us. Holly Griggs Spall wrote a really provocative book about the state of hormonal birth control. And, we're using these pills that our grandparents used. It really hasn't changed all that much.
No, it hasn't.
They've changed the progestins with each, new patent that they do. And so, there's just some information that I think people should be aware of. It's not about scaring people off of birth control. We want more access to birth control. We want better, time with our care providers to understand the pros and cons of all of these, options and medications.
Well, as technology is advancing. There's going to be a lot of things that are coming on the market, but unfortunately, with the advent of technology, and my position is that anything that Big Pharma doesn't make money off of is not going to be pushed into mainstream very, very quickly. To be able to time the cycles, know when you're ovulating, to be able to have a natural rhythmic birth. It goes back to choices, and it's really one that we have to be very fully aware of and how to handle our lives and our situations. Keith, how did you get involved with all this? I mean, you're out of Richmond, and, this is big deal stuff. How did it happen?
This is big deal stuff. It happened because, for 15 years I've been a holistic fertility specialist, and about 2 years ago we hosted a Birth Matters event here in Richmond, Virginia, in which I sponsored, and Abby Epstein was one of the speakers. Abby is the director of Sweetening the Pill, and I met Abby at this luncheon, and we decided we were going to get together to talk about a project that she already was doing. And I met her in New York City a few months later, and we were having lunch, and she was very excited about the day before she was in L.A. with Ricki, and they had just attained, I think, the rights to Sweetening the Pill, and Abby was really excited about this project. And as she was telling me about it, I said, Abby, this is what I do, so let me tell you a little bit. I mean, right now, there are 92 million prescriptions written for hormonal birth control last year.
That's huge dollars.
Over 100 million women use it. 82% of American women use it, and there have only been 44,000 research publications on hormonal birth control. In over 20 years, only 44,000 research publications, which is nothing. And less than 100 of those have been effects on women's sexuality. So I was telling Abby these statistics and telling her what I see in my clinic and how many people struggle with fertility. And they've been on the birth control pill for about, the average number of years now is 24 years. I mean, women now go on the birth control pill at age 14. They're trying to get pregnant at age 38. They've been on the pill more than 14 years, and there are no research studies on long-term effects of hormonal birth control, not any.
No, there's a lot of anecdotal experience, but it's very, very well hidden because we've lectured on it for the 39 years that I've been in practice.
Right.
And it's there. It's, the original pills that came out, as both of you know, were very estrogen heavy without any progesterone, and then they tried to put the progesterone in the form of progesterone, and the side effects are awful, as they knew in laboratory studies but never released. This documentary that's being released, Sweeten the Pill, and I know you're trying to fund it this week, which is incredibly important. When I was asked to do this interview with the two of you, I did my homework, and I mean, this is significant. This is what needs to be shown, and we need help to get this done. What is this? When is it intended to be released? What needs to be done? How can we help you? This is significant social impact.
Thank you, and I agree with you. I mean, we have this Kickstarter campaign, so anyone that wants to get involved and support our project, I mean, we're asking for people to give $5 or $10, not hundreds and thousands of dollars. So they can just go to our Kickstarter.com and look up Sweetening the Pill, and it's very easy. We have like a sort of short video of what we're doing, what the film's about, what we're taking on, and it really is daunting stuff. I feel like, with my birth project, with Business of Being Born, I mean, the AMA came after us. It was very controversial at the time, and now we're seeing changes happening in hospital settings. Protocols are changing. They're now recommending doulas. I mean, this wasn't the case when our film came out, and I think that we can have that similar shift here if we can just simply educate people about what they need to know, and that there are other options. You were talking about technology. The fertility awareness method is really, it's not, pull and pray and rhythm method. It's not that. It's actually true body literacy and learning how your body works, when you can't get pregnant, and using your smartphone to do it. It's really fascinating stuff, and I think, again, the film is about pushing for more options and better birth control.
Well, the utilization of hormones to control and regulate periods specifically for contraception is in my opinion, is one of the most deadly and awful things that ever came down the market because of the things that we see in the practice. And with women suffering strokes and clots and coronary occlusion and so forth. And the list really goes on. And not only affects that, but it also affects the emotional paradigm, their ability to function, the capacity to be able to think and to mentate. All these things are included in all that.
Yep. And Keith Bell, who really is not only a friend and a supporter of our project, but also so knowledgeable. I've learned so much. Keith, I'm just going to tell you one thing that you told me that blew my mind was telling me that it changes your pheromones. Like when you're on this medication, it changes who you're attracted to. So for me, just a baseline of like thinking of that young girl that's in college who's sexually active and goes on the pill and falls in love with her college sweetheart. They get married. She stays on the pill for a number of years. Then she goes off trying to get pregnant, has, many times fertility issues, but lots of times that she finds out through the process that she's not into her guy in that way. She's attracted to a different kind of guy when she's not on these endocrine disruptors. It's fascinating to me.
And that's what we're calling the pill goggles, actually. It's I was interviewing some guys from the Atlanta Braves last year about this very topic, and they were laughing about how when they go out to bars and drink beer, they have beer goggles, and it changes who they're attracted to. And they coined the term pill goggles because they were thinking, these women who are taking the pill, when they meet them, and then it comes time to get married, and they go off the pill because they want to have a child, and they're no longer attracted. I find this one of the saddest things working in a fertility clinic, and I see it over and over and over. They've spent their entire lives trying not to get pregnant. They've been on the birth control pill or some other hormonal contraceptive, not educated that it can change who you're attracted to, not only the pheromones, but genetically. One of the reasons we have infertility and miscarriage is because people are not genetically compatible. And we have research that shows us that these hormonal birth control pills can make you choose a partner that is not genetically compatible with you when it comes time to have a child. And then you have these couples who are devastated, number one, because they can't get pregnant. Number two, they're no longer attracted to each other. And then when they do get pregnant, they have miscarriages. There is a ton of holistic side effects from manipulating your body with these pharmaceutical hormones that people are not talking about. And that's what makes this film so important because, again, I work in the fertility industry. I see usage for these pharmaceuticals when it comes time to do certain procedures or certain IVF-type procedures. But when we're placing young girls, not even women yet, young undeveloped girls on the birth control pill because of acne or painful periods or endometriosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and they stay suppressed because the pill doesn't control your cycle. It only suppresses your ovulation. And these women have been suppressed for 20-some years, and they're told that when they come off the pill, everything is going to be fine. Well, most of the time it's
anything
not
but the truth.
Right.
It's an unfortunate situation, Keith, because there's so much that that is hidden, is not exposed. And when you suppress a woman's cycle for that many years, one of two things are going to happen in the initial stages. Either she's going to start ovulating like popcorn, or she's not going to be able to ovulate at all. And so that's where you end up, and they're in their 30s and 40s, and now they want a child, or and they hadn't thought about it before. But here's the other piece that with birth control pills and is not known and is not told about, is that when a woman takes so much estrogen that's unbalanced, is unopposed, if you will, with progesterone, natural progesterones, subsequently what happens is her risk for all types of cancers increase dramatically, particularly ovarian cancer and uterine cancer. But here's the side effect. A woman, when she takes the pill, doesn't use the majority of the chemistry that's there. It's urinated out in the water, and now it goes in. If you're in an area like Washington, D.C., like we are, you're in what's called a water reclamation area. That means we take urinary water or sewage water, we reprocess it, and we put it back in with acceptable amounts of hormone.
Right.
Estrogens and progesterones are one of those things that you can't get out of the water, so guys are being exposed, and now that's why you're seeing increased rates of male breast cancer and also prostate cancer.
Guys are, and I get asked this all the time. People ask me, why do you even care about this? I'm a holistic practitioner, and you just gave the best reason, because holistically it's affecting all of us. It's not just affecting the person taking this pill, but every one of us who consumes the water.
Guys, we're coming up to a hard break. I don't want you to go away. There's a lot of information here to cover. We'll be right back. My guests today in studio, actually on the line, Ricki Lake and Keith Bell. We're talking about a very, very exciting documentary that's coming up. It's called Sweetening the Pill, and we need your help. We need you to help us make sure that it launches, and we'll tell you all about that when we come back. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle live in studio. We have a very special show today and two very special guests. This is an amazing opportunity for you to participate in something that can save women's lives. What we're talking about. We're talking about the devastation, as you've heard me say for many, many years, of hormonal imbalance, but mostly birth control pills and imbalances of estrogens and progesterones within the body. My guest today, Ricki Lake and Keith Bell. Guys, you still with me?
We're here.
Yeah.
Great, super. We're back after a short break. So let's talk about this new program, this new blockbuster documentary that, Ricki, that you and your partner, Abby Epstein, are behind again after doing the business of being born a few years ago. This is basically information-packed. It's a program, it's a documentary that really can save lives, which is, to me, one of the most important things about this. Let's talk about it a little bit more. What are the effects of birth control pills with women today that they're not aware of? What's going on that they really need to have a heads up on?
Well, we've already talked about the fact that it changes your emotional being as much as it does suppress your complete hormonal system. But on the other, end of the spectrum, girls are dying. Girls are dying from maneuvering. They're dying from Yaz. They're having problems with so many different kinds of hormonal birth control, such as Assure. There's all these court cases. It's scary. These women are dying of pulmonary embolisms, and it's not really being documented and reported. I'm not exactly sure why. I don't understand. We've interviewed some of these families that it just tears your heart out. These families that lost their vibrant, healthy, beautiful young daughters, some 20 years old, 24 years old, and they're dropping dead of these pulmonary embolisms. And, it seems that the doctors, the OBGYNs that are, and gynecologists that are prescribing this medication, they don't even know necessarily what, the damage that it's doing. It's the emergency room doctors that when these girls come in, they immediately ask, are they on birth control? And they put two and two together. So it's not really labeled properly on these, on the packaging. It's really like the fine print. And it's a low risk, but when it's your daughter that this happens to, or your loved one, I would want to know. I was on the pill for probably over 20 years during the course of my life, and, it messed up my system. I had hair loss. I had all kinds of side effects that, looking back on. It's only now that I'm involved with this project that both Abby and I are looking at, wait a minute, I had a low-lying depression during this time, and attributing it back to this medication. I just think I want the buyer to beware, and I'm not against Planned Parenthood. I'm obviously not against birth control. If the birth control works for you, I just want people to be informed and to be able to make an informed choice, and that's what the project is about.
Well, that's the whole thing, Ricki. The bottom line is people are being duped constantly. I see it every day in my practice. They're being told to take whatever drug there is, from a statin to something that handles blood sugar regulation and so forth, and they're never told that, one, generally they don't work anyway, but the bottom line with particularly contraception is that you're dealing with the disruption of the endocrine system within the body. You're dealing with you're messing with genetic matrix. You're starting to re-stimulate what we call junk DNA. And now,
right.
Over time, you don't know what you're going to get into. And what we're seeing are women who are becoming sick. We're seeing women who are suffering the consequences of all of this, from brain cancers, and by the way, that information is out there as well, to uterine cancers and fibroids and polycystic disease and all those things, which the birth control pill is supposed to try to solve. But the rebound effect is that it causes far more problems than what it does. And Keith, you've been in this business now for a long time. You get this. You understand it. You see it. With traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture, one of the best ways to enhance the woman's capacity to be able to conceive, to be able to get a child. But this puts mud in your pile.
Right, and utilization. It's all about utilization of hormones. A lot of people, when they're developing as a young girl, the body doesn't have the capacity to efficiently utilize their own hormones yet. They're learning. Their bodies are learning. And there are many things like Chinese medicine, herbs, supplements, chiropractic, homeopathy that can help the body utilize these hormones more efficiently. But what's happening is we're putting in a type of hormone that the body doesn't know what to do with, and then it disrupts the endocrine system. It disrupts the body's ability to detoxify these pharmaceutical drugs. And what I'm seeing in my clinic a lot now is the development of autoimmune issues, the development of food allergies.
Huge.
And, you say that people are being duped. I have a lot of friends that are gynecologists, and most of them have no clue. When I sit down with them and explain to them the body's own stages of detoxification and what the hormones and the birth control pill does to disrupt that, they get it, and they take their patients off. I mean, we're seeing so many cases of irritable bowel syndrome caused by NuvaRing. I can't even tell you. Take the NuvaRing out, digestion improves. Clear those detoxification pathways with supplements, and these people get better.
Keith, it's called standard of care. You ask why these guys do these things. It's because some drug salesman came in and said, this is what we've got today. This is what's happening. Here's some samples. Give them to your patients. Let us know what you think. And, the patient becomes the guinea pig in the marketplace, and subsequently we're seeing all the disruption that you're talking about.
Exactly. 3 patients last week with IBS, and I asked them to take out their NuvaRing, and the IBS is disappearing. It is better.
Immediately.
When I say this week, last month, actually. So we have those 3. We have the gynecologist, and they are believing it because they're seeing it.
Listen, we're coming up to one of those lousy breaks again. Unfortunately, we have to pay attention to our sponsors. Don't go away. More questions. Hopefully you'll both be with us when we come back. This is a topic that people need to go. And by the way, our phone lines are lighting up like crazy, so I ask if you want to take a couple calls, when we do come back. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. We have a very fascinating subject and 2 great guests, Ricki Lake and Dr. Keith Bell out of Richmond. We'll be right back. You've been everywhere, you've done everything, and you still feel like, well, Did you know that your health and wellness starts with your brain and nervous system? What if by establishing normal brain and nervous system function, you could regain your energy, strength, and vitality? Would you be interested? I'm Dr. Tom Roselle, host of Dr. Tom Roselle Live. Join me and an elite group of wellness practitioners for Ageless Health 2015 on October 17th at Fairview Park Marriott Hotel in Falls Church, Virginia, for a day that could change your life forever. A day when you'll learn step by step how to create a brain-body connection that will allow you to live in a state of wellness that you deserve. Register today at agelesshealth2015.com. That's agelesshealth2015.com. Or call 703-698-7117. Register today. After all, your health is a do-it-yourself program.
Dr. Tom Roselle Live continues now on 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live, and do we have a show for you today, one that needs to be heard around the world, not just in this country, because, ladies, you are the target of this unfortunate situation that we're dealing with. I have 2 very amazing people on the line that we're discussing this situation with. One is a producer of a new documentary that was coming out. It's called Sweetening the Pill, and the other one is a contributory advisor, but also in the program itself, acupuncturist from Richmond, Keith Bell, and well known by everybody, Ricki Lake. Guys, you still there?
Yeah. I'm here.
Okay, great. So let's talk about there was a question I had before we went off, and like I said, we have several callers. The morning after pill. The one that, if you think you got pregnant, you can take and supposedly it gets rid of all the problems. There's tremendous side effects with that are equal or even more so than taking traditional birth control pills. And women are using this as their birth control because they don't want to have they don't want to have to take a birth control pill or do other things. But the problem is essentially the same. You have the same type of side effects. Is it more or less?
Can I ask you, as you guys are the experts, I don't know, what are those extra side effects that you get from that?
Keith, you want to jump in? Or you want me to lead the way on this one?
You lead the way on this one because I haven't done much research on the morning after pill, so I would love to hear this myself.
Okay, well, everything between breakthrough bleeding, ovarian degeneration, cancers, nausea, dizziness, tremendous headaches that don't go away because they're vascular-induced, breast tenderness because of the imbalance of the hormones, and all the things that we were talking about relative to cancers and blood clots and so forth, particularly when it's used on a regular basis. And unfortunately, some of these women are using this on, 2-3 times a week.
Wow. See, I didn't know this because my field is fertility, and the majority of the people who are coming to see me are trying to get pregnant, not get pregnant. So I don't know much about people using the morning after pill that regularly. That's very interesting.
I'm someone that has used. I did use the morning after pill in my past, and I had no idea. I just thought it was like basically doubling up on the pill. That's what I thought it was.
Well, your body can handle anything. We talked a while ago about, the liver being involved in hormonal balance and so forth. And the liver has multiple phases of detoxification where it clears things. Phase 1 handles hormones and things of that nature. And the problem is that when we're exposed to environment, all the xenoestrogens that are floating around, when we're exposed to, our lifestyles, the foods that are non-GMO, the garbage that's being put in, the additives and so forth, phase 1 gets messed up badly. So now, because of that and with stress patterns, you can't detoxify these hormones. So now the hormones begin to build up in your body. When you start taking things like the morning after pill, which is an increased level of the birth control pill, the thing of it is that you can't, if you use it once in a great while, the body's forgiven. But what happens when it compounds itself, when you're using it 2 to 3 times a week because you're really not, being responsible for what you're doing, you've got a problem.
And what gets me is what you just brought up. So many people are conscious of using xenoestrogens. They're watching what they're drinking out of. They're not drinking out of plastics. They're not microwaving their foods, yet they're taking these pills every day, not even thinking that this is way worse than drinking out of a plastic bottle.
It is. And then you combine it with all those things. We talked about all the pass-throughs of these hormones, and now you've got something that, women aren't even aware of. They get involved in estrogens from all different types, from your electrical fields, from your cell phones, from, the plastics that we just talked about, the things that they inject in animals. Now you compound all of that, and the drinking water that you have that's not filtered, particularly, as we said earlier, if you're in a water reclamation area. Ricki, this program is one that needs to be seen by millions of women and their doctors. And we've got to get that message out, and we have to help you raise the funding to make this happen.
And we definitely believe in it. That's why I got involved with this film. I thought to myself, finally, someone is telling the story that my patients need to hear, because when they come to me and hear this, it's a little too late. It's a little too late.
Yeah, at that point they're in trouble. They already have, they've already been bit, if you will. The program Sweetening the Pill was a springboard off a book that was written by, if I remember, Holly Grigg.
Holly Grigg Spall, and it again stems from her own personal experience of being on the pill. And she started a blog first before she wrote the book, and I think the blog was called "Who Am I When I'm Not on My Birth Control Pill?" And, she saw such changes in her personality, and she thought it was her. She thought that she was like a depressed person. She thought that was just, the way she was, and it was like she became a different person when she went off of it. And, the book really has a very strong point of view. It's a lot of people. It's a lot to swallow. We're going to make a balanced film. We're going to look at everything. And again, I want to be really clear. We're not fear-mongering. We are not trying to scare women off of the pill. I mean, I think there's been this, reaction in the press, Ricki Lake's trying to, and I'm not. I'm trying to, ask these questions and start a conversation and educate women and men, because really birth control is it's a couple's decision as well. It's, why it falls onto the women, and there really isn't anything that's been developed, or out there for men to take responsibility when it comes to this, other than condoms, I'm about educating and being able to help people to make an informed choice when it comes to their bodies, their health, whether it's, their birth. It's really, it's been a thrill for me as a public figure to be able to use my high profile status to do something that I believe is helping people.
Well, Ricki, your passion is phenomenal. I mean, you've been involved in so many things over time that have really gotten people's attention, and this, as equal to, or probably, in my opinion, beyond what you've done up until this point in time, because I deal with lives every day. I deal with people who need to know. And, sometimes you've got to scare somebody straight, and you've got to get them to understand, hey, there is issues with what you're doing. There's a consequence. These things don't go without a debt that has to be paid. And when it's your life and your body, the debt's huge.
And there is, I mean, it does seem to catch up to you, you know, all these stories of women trying to get pregnant. You know, it makes sense to me now looking back on it. I was not one of those women. I was on the pill, off the pill for many, many, many years. I abused my body with, you know, starving myself, losing weight, putting on weight, losing weight. I mean, the yo-yo dieting was not certainly good for my hormone system. But, you know, I was able to get pregnant very, very easily. But so many women I know, and it's not because of their age. It's because of all these things we're talking about today.
Absolutely.
So it's just worth the conversation, you know. And Abby and I are coming from a place of, you know, we're curious. We are, you know, we're not experts. We're not doctors. We never claim to be. We simply are, you know, using this genre to start a conversation and get people educated to advocate for themselves.
Absolutely. So if our listeners wanted to help out, they wanted to get involved in this, what do they need to do?
They go to our Kickstarter.com and they look up Sweetening the Pill and they can donate there. And it's not even a donation. They actually get things. You know, the thing with Kickstarter, it's you contribute and you get like something in return, whether it's, you know, access to the movie when it comes out before everyone else, or you get a T-shirt. You know, I don't even know, but there's a bunch of things.
There are great incentives on there. They're great incentives, and for very little money. Again, like Ricki said earlier, she's not asking for $1,000. She's asking people to contribute $5, $15, $50, and you get some great incentives in return.
You know,
and you really are a part of this project, because honestly, we can't do it on our own. We need supporters and people that, you know, are as interested as we are in this subject matter and want to be a part of our team. And so it's a really exciting, you know, project in that there are so many people that this is like the light bulb is going off for them and they want to get involved, and so many experts. I mean, you know, Erin Brockovich is involved because she's taken on the Assure. Kate, can you talk about the Assure birth control, because I didn't know anything about this. This wasn't around when I was using hormonal
You know,
birth
and
control.
I'm just learning about it, and I actually learned about it because a very dear family member is having complications as we speak from it. I did not know much about it.
It's a coil that's
goes in the
inserted,
fallopian
right,
tube.
in your cervix.
Goes through the cervix into the fallopian tube.
And then what's happening is that coil is breaking, and it's like perforating people's bladders. It is causing them to have hysterectomies. I mean, there's lots and lots and lots of cases, and they've gone to the FDA. They've gone, you know, and I guess there's, you know, I'm not that well schooled on it, but I know Erin Brockovich is taking this on, and it's, you know, it's terrifying.
It is.
It's terrifying.
It's one of these things that the end product is going to be as bad as hormones, because it's a coiled coil. It's probably in the neighborhood of about 2.5 to 3 inches long, and it's inserted directly, as you said. And the problem is that because of muscle spasm and canals that are narrowed and so forth, it's going to break. And
right.
the potential is awful, because women end up then never being able to have a child, because then total hysterectomy is the only outcome.
Total hysterectomy,
right.
and a lot of people having pain that's not being able to be fixed.
Can I add one other thing, because I want to talk about it. And again, I'm not coming from a place of being an expert, but I understand that certain methods of birth control that are non-hormonal, like the cervical cap, have been eradicated basically because they aren't money-making products.
That's right.
Is that correct?
That's exactly right. I mean, they're very, very inexpensive. They can be produced for peanuts. But you have the other thing. You talked about condoms and so forth. Here, if people are sensitive to latex, if they're sensitive to those things, they're also going to have a reaction with that, and they have side effects to that. But before you use anything like a diaphragm, before you use anything like a condom, before you use anything that comes from a synthetic polymer of oil, you can find out whether the patient is sensitive to it or not, particularly in the work that we do. But you have to have a heads up. There's nothing without side effects. And
right.
you have to know your body. You have to know the sensitivities. Unfortunately, because of our environments today, because of the stresses, both biochemically, emotionally, and the injuries that we put up with, because we're told we have to put up with them, our bodies begin to break down. And there's that whole adrenal pituitary process that regulates all the things that we're talking about. And you find yourself in a real catch-22. It's an awful situation.
And again, it goes back to what you said earlier, Ricki and you. It's all about body literacy. We need to learn how our bodies work. And we're not taught. And many of our physicians don't know.
No,
they're the ones we go to for health care.
They have no clue. I mean, unfortunately, and I know there's a lot of physicians who are good friends of mine, and they do phenomenal jobs, and they continue to update their skills, and they're very reticent to do anything biochemically unless it's a last resort, which is really the way the body was designed to be. But, at the end of the day, this program is going to make people aware of something that is being, as far as I'm concerned, swept underneath the carpet and just promoted because it's such a huge moneymaker. You're talking about $1 billion a year.
And this is why we had to go to Kickstarter, because it's very difficult to find support from an industry that's run by pharmaceuticals.
No, they're not going. They can't cut their own nose off because they're talking dollars. It's the same thing with any drug that's out there. We could list industry after industry and talk about the biochemical imbalance that takes place. I just came back from China and Korea. I was teaching there and I was touring for a couple of weeks. And the Chinese, who you would think that had the handle on natural therapeutics, from acupuncture to manipulative modes to nutrition and so forth, is now being influenced by Western drug companies. In every place that you took, I walked down the street and there you can buy things without prescription. And they said, finally, Levitra's here, male hormonal enhancement, right? And you say, oh, my God, they're going to end up having the same problems that we have. Well, maybe that's the deal. That's how we defeat our enemies, unfortunately.
But, we're switching. Things are changing here, too. I just attended one of the very first integrative fertility conferences in the West, and that was in Vancouver, British Columbia last month, and it was all integrative practitioners looking to find ways to treat infertility without pharmaceuticals, or if we had to use them, how could we choose the best from each medicine. And they allowed me to speak for an hour about the dangers of the birth control pill, which floored me that they allowed it, but they did, and it was a great reception. It was nearly a standing ovation. People want to hear this, especially practitioners, because they don't know. And if they don't know, then they can't tell their patients. So,
the bottom line is, Keith, we need people like you that are really well-versed and able to not only utilize functional medicine protocols, but also be able to inform patients on a very knowledgeable basis. And Ricki, obviously, saying well known just doesn't even scratch the surface when it comes to you. You need to be applauded for what you're doing. This is something that goes beyond just, this is saving lives. This is something that needs to be done, so people know, so they understand that there are consequences, there are side effects. Kickstart, you go to kickstart.com and Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And
they can get involved. And, thank you so much. I believe, it's having conversations like this that make you feel like, okay, this is a scary, scary, daunting process. I can't tell you, because people are saying I'm not a feminist, and people are saying, you're against Planned Parenthood. That couldn't be further from the truth.
I appreciate it, honey. Thank you for the time. See you soon. Thank you so very much. I'll do whatever I can to help you. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. We'll be back after these messages. This is Dr. Tom Roselle, author of Ageless Health. Health is a do-it-yourself program. My book, now also available in audio version, is a step-by-step program of how to take control of your health and wellness without drugs or needless surgery. You have the capacity to change your health and level of well-being. Take control of your health today and order Health is a do-it-yourself program.
For more information and to order, please visit agelesshealthbook.com. That's agelesshealthbook.com.
105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL.
Welcome back, everybody. Dr. Tom Roselle. What a beautiful program. What a fantastic opportunity to let you know what really goes on in the healthcare marketplace, in pharmacodynamics, in the effect that it has on you. This program was not only about women and birth control pills, but it was also the impact that we have societally. We have an obligation to really understand the playing field. That's why Dr. Tom Roselle Live is every Sunday at 12 o'clock, bringing you the most intimate and updated information on integrative and natural therapeutics. But more importantly, guys, you are at an effect because of this as well, because of some of the things that we talked about. So just remember, it's not just your wife and your daughter and your aunt and so forth. It's about you as well. We all have a piece of this puzzle. We all have to be aware, and we have to understand that there are options. Education is primary. You must educate yourself. You must educate your family. You must educate your friends to really make choices that are in your best interest and your family's best interest. This is a situation where to think that birth control or hormonal balance, and we can extend it to hormones that women are going out, and even if they're saying that they're naturally based hormones, they have side effects. And you have to understand the playing field. Keith Bell was telling us that, when you use things like the Nova O-ring, you use other vaginal hormone insertions, that irritable bowel problems come about. And it's not okay to not be aware and to question. Your physician has an obligation to you to tell you what the side effects are. You have an obligation to yourself to make sure you understand what's being done. And just because you have a white tower doctor that's sitting in front of you and says, take this pill and we'll talk about it later, now you have become the guinea pig. You need to know the side effects. You need to be able to get online and look it up and see what it is, and look at both sides of the puzzle. Look at what's really there and make a decision accordingly. If you're my patient, you're going to come in, and you know how I am. I'm going to tell you the side effects, and I'm going to get emotional about it because I care about you. I want to make sure that your life is secure, it's safe, you have the capacity, you've been told everything that you need to know about, and if you choose then to become an ostrich and put your head in the sand, well, shame on you, but that's your choice. Then you have the capacity to do what you need to do. But here's the point. When you make that decision on an informed basis, then it becomes your outcome because of your hand. Remember why I wrote my book, right? Ageless Health. Health is a do-it-yourself program. It's because simply you have that responsibility. I want all of you to help get this documentary out there. I want you to go to Kickstarter.com and go to Sweeten the Pill and donate today, whether it's $5 or as much money as you can possibly afford to give. This is something that makes a difference. Forget about the politics for right now. Forget about, all the talking heads. Do something that will inform people. Do something that will save lives. And I'm talking about saving lives. There are women out there right now that are dying simply because of these medications. And we're not talking about something that happens occasionally. We're talking about things that happen on a regular basis. Make sure you're informed. And if they don't die, are they having strokes so they can't function? If they don't die, deep vein thrombosis is another outcome of this. If they don't die, are they having heart attacks or impaired circulation? If they don't die, are they losing their capacity to be able to have a decent relationship with somebody because their emotions are all over the place? Are we destroying our culture? You've heard me talk about guys having problems with fertility and testosterone and so forth. We've said many times over the years, if you've heard me talk about that, young men who are in their 30s today have the testosterone level of guys who were in their 60s in the 1950s. That's not okay. Why is that happening? It's the same thing with this. We are slowly, methodically destroying our capacity, our heritage, our legacies for the future because of these things, because we're not questioning, we're just jumping in. And now with the advent of everything that's out there, we have problems. I'm going to try to bring you more insightful information and programs like this, but for right now, go to Kickstarter.com and donate today. Sweetening the Pill. We all have to become participants in this and other avenues of social intervention as well. I'll be here next week, same old time, same place, bringing you more information that hopefully will tweak you to take control of your health, your lives, and those of your families. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. See you next week. Bye.
Are you dental phobic? Do you neglect your dental health because of fear and anxiety? A beautiful smile begins with exceptional dental care, and you can trust in the expertise of Soft Touch Dental Care and Dr. Michael Chung. Soft Touch Dental Care is unlike any dentist office you'll ever experience. Their warm and welcoming environment is designed to soothe fears and anxiety the moment you arrive, and they're especially pleased to pamper their honored guest patients. Dr. Michael Chung is a professional and leading expert in all areas of comprehensive dentistry, including cosmetic, sedation, neuromuscular, TMJ, and implant dentistry. Offering state-of-the-art technology, Dr. Chung can give you the smile of your dreams. Arrange for a complimentary consultation today with Dr. Michael Chung and experience the expertise that makes Dr. Michael Chung so unique. Call 703-319-6990. That's 703-319-6990. Or visit bestinsmile.com. That's bestinsmile.com.